Good evening and welcome to News 360. We are live from the News Hub at the Sunway in Accra. I am Issa Moni.
And I am Portia Gabo. Coming up the headlines.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by Deluxe Paid,
GT Bank, and Calipo.
In the headlines, farmers from 7 communities in the Fantiakwa North District vowed to resist continuous stay of nomadic herdsmen in their farms.
2019 close season for artisanal fishers set for May 15 to June 15.
And tonight, we put the spotlight on online food vending as vendors cash in.
In mission tonight, inadequate infrastructure at Mumford Community Junior High School in the Central Region.
In international news, Algeria's ruling party, FLN, picks ailing 81-year-old President Bouteflika as candidate for April 18 presidential election.
We have details coming up shortly. Do stay with us. And we first begin from the Eastern Region, and farmers from 7 communities in the Fantiakwa North District have vowed to resist the continuous stay of nomadic herdsmen in their farms. While the farmers lament the continuous destruction of crops by the cattle has affected their livelihood. Our Eastern Regional correspondent Yvonne Nikwe has the rest of the story.
On Friday, some farmers from the 7 affected communities, Ahomam, Kwekubotre, Asiato, Ekukuretu, Tadieso, Esiato, Amuafusu went to their farms and hideouts of the nomadic farmers to drive them away. They destroyed and burnt structures belonging to the nomadic herdsmen. According to the farmers, their action was as a result of the devastation caused to their farms. The farmers also cited failure of the police to help deal with suspects involved. Several acres of crops have been destroyed by the herds of cattle. The farmers lamented they are unable to pay back loans and cater for their family due to the activities of the nomadic herdsmen and their cattle. The farmers have vowed to resist the stay of the nomadic herdsmen to save their farms. Food crops from these 7 communities are sold to residents in Fantiakwa North and South districts, parts of the Eastern Region, the Greater Accra and Ashanti regions. Meanwhile, the Fantiakwa District Security Council is yet to respond to the matter.
And the 2019 close season for artisanal fishers has been fixed from May 15 to June 15, while that of industrial trawlers will take place between August 1 and 31. The decision was taken by stakeholders in the fishing sector who met to come out with a roadmap to implement the close season concept in industry.
Close season is practiced in many fisheries management jurisdictions as a measure to prevent people from fishing at certain times of the year. This is to help fishers at vulnerable times in their life cycle. The Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development intended to implement the close season concept in last year, but the move was met with stiff resistance from the fishing community. This led to the suspension of the program for broader consultation towards a possible implementation this year.
Let us all arise and say no to illegal, unregulated, and unreported fishing and implement the close season. The sustainable management of fisheries resources could be successful.
This year they've started very early, and I'm very much impressed because if you look at the representation over here, it's overwhelming. And I think one of the conclusions that all of us have made is that close season must happen in 2019.
As part of our readiness to support what is going on now, we have added, communally, those for fishers. We have added Sunday to the existing Tuesday where we originally don't go fishing. And it's now 2 days in a week. That's about 52 times in a year. I think we have done our very best.
The fishing stock in the sea is depleting very seriously. Not until serious measures are put in place, we will not be able to arrest the situation. And for us not to run short of fish in foreseeable future, I'm appealing to all the fishermen and all those who have something to do with the sea to comply strictly with the laws and regulations that the fishing industry is putting in place.
The meeting also discussed the sustainable management and development of the fisheries resources.
In other news, ordinarily, Ghanaians who would shy away from selling foodstuff in the markets are now doing same in larger quantities on social media. Or these online food vendors are cashing in on the busy schedules of some individuals and making life easier, especially for career women. Adjoa Adobia spent some time with 2 online vendors and has come through with this report.
Food vendors usually position themselves at vantage points to sell, with some carrying on their heads in order to expand their customer base. Some carry the food from house to house to sell. Fast forward into today's highly technological world, a lot is changing. Most entrepreneurs are gradually venturing into the foodstuff and food markets, using social media as a tool to market their services. Millicent, a graduate of the Ghana Institute of Journalism, after taking a course in branding products and services, decided to take a mother's tabletop foodstuff market to a higher level. This, she said, was to help promote her mother's business, which was basically focused on serving walk-in customers.
I sat and realized that, okay, my mom sells at the market where we are now. What if there's a form of delivery service attached to it so that we'll make life easy for clients who usually walk in to buy? So people will order and then we package and deliver to them nicely. After all, we are all busy.
She receives orders from people each day requesting for a variety of foodstuffs at each point in time.
Usually service charge depends on the quantity of items you're ordering for, the quantity, the location where you find yourself, and then also the immediateness of how you want it. So we look at all this before we give you the charge.
According to her, online marketing has been very good, as sales have shot up to about 50%.
If you were catering for only walk-in clients and you are making 100 cedis a day, and then you decide to deliver to people who are home, plus those who walk in, I'm sure the number will change in business.
Interestingly, Millicent's colleagues in the markets are not throwing roses at her, as they feel threatened owing to the number of customers she receives. She's not the only person taking advantage. Mamia Friye, also a graduate of GIJ, quit her job as a marketing advisor in the firm to start her food business.
Before I even went to learn how to make cakes, it was just because I wanted to do it for the house. I didn't really plan to sell my cakes. But then a friend tried my cake, and the next birthday, she asked me the price of my cake. Initially, I was not even selling them. I was just giving out to friends to just taste it and let me know their feedback before I even marketed my whole product. But then with time, they were all saying it was good, so I should just price them.
Mamia loves cooking on a daily basis and prepares various dishes for her clients and charges based on a kilo of food she prepares. Regrets has never been part of her food journey story and hopes to start a restaurant soon.
When you are doing certain things, you feel like you're not really into this per se. So you just want to do what you really feel like doing. And that was what I felt back then. And compared to what I was feeling now and then today, I feel I made a very, very good decision by leaving.
Clearly, it appears the online food business has not only made the lives of the working class easy, but has also created jobs for many. For the millions of Ghanaians who love to sell foodstuffs but are unable to sit under an umbrella in the markets, social media is fast becoming an option. Need I say more? Ajwa Adubia Ogusu, TV3.
Using technology to support business. Let's move away into politics now. And the former Chief of Staff, Nana Tudadze, says investigating the Ayawaso West Wuogon violence could have been done in just 72 hours. Nana Tudadze says on key point that the issue does not require the setting up of a commission of inquiry.
Former Chief of Staff Nana Tudadze wants the violence during the Ayawaso West Wuogon by-elections depoliticized.
My business is to draw attention to all of us to the fact that we can set a small fire that will engulf all of us. In 2020, we probably, if it opens up like what we are seeing on the screen, we probably may end up having people leaving the country carrying their things on their head. It's not an NDC or NPP affair.
But a Deputy Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, Osei Bonsu Amwa, disagreed with his submission.
Persons are involved who have been injured, some very grave injuries. And if the state is even to be found culpable, there should even be compensation. And the commission can even recommend all these things. So it's not just a matter of identifying somebody as the head of national security or the IGP and saying that we've punished them, so the matter has been addressed.
Meanwhile, legal practitioner Bobby Benson is of the view vigilantism must be addressed from its root cause.
I do not think it would be fair for Ghanaians to expect that this commission would be able to finish their work thoroughly within 1 month. A commission that will quicken the process of making sure that we resolve this matter, then we should have been fair to ourselves to say that instead of trying to limit it to Ayawaso West Wuogon, let's give them enough time to tackle the problem of vigilantism to the roots.
Convener of the Inter-Party Coalition for National Sovereignty and Chairman of PNC, Bernard Mona, tasked the police to be firm in the discharge of its duties.
How come that police guns, catapults, chains were used in an operation and our IGP and the police service was unaware of? That means that somebody could easily break into the armory of our Ghana Police Service without the knowledge of the Inspector General of Police, without the knowledge of the Director of Operations at the Ghana Police Service. The reason for which we call for the head of the IGP, because obviously he should have full responsibility and know at what time such logistics and such armory are being taken out.
The Vice President on Friday sworn into office the Commission of Inquiry to look into the Ayawaso West Wuogon by-election violence. The commission has been tasked to present its reports in a month.
And the call to end political thuggery is getting support from all sectors of society. Edo Nyumale lives with disability, but he told TV3's Peter Kwao Adato he was inspired by the need to persuade political parties to eschew violence to join the demonstration.
The huge turnout of Thursday's Agbewo demonstration in Accra was unexpected by some observers following the confusion that had characterized engagement between organizers and the police. Edo Nyumale was a key participant. He appeared to lead the demonstrators from the center. With support from another demonstrator, Edo led this particular group throughout the nearly 8 hours peaceful exercise. We caught up with him at the Ministry of the Interior and asked about his motivation for joining the demonstration.
The violence that characterized the recently held by-election is a setback to our democracy. Persons with disability have nowhere to go if conflict breaks out in 2020. I cannot escape any conflict. Hence, my resolve to join this group to register our displeasure. Government must ensure that the perpetrators are brought to book because we need peace in the country.
Edo Nimali left in a hurry, determined to maintain his position in the group. Throughout the journey, one word on the lips of Edo was clear: whoever wished to rule Ghana must ensure the safety, security and well-being of citizens irrespective of their social or political status.
And the Ghana Police Service is finalizing the policy document that seeks to protect journalists whilst covering police operations. The move comes on the back of alleged police brutalities on media personnel in discharging their duties.
The police have in recent times come under criticism for alleged brutalities on some journalists across the country. In response to this, the police administration has taken steps to protect journalists whilst covering police operations. A policy document has been drafted to protect journalists in the discharge of their duties. Addressing the media personnel in Kumasi, Director General in charge of Public Affairs at the Ghana Police Service, Assistant Commissioner of Police ACP David Iklu, said an attack on a journalist is an attack on the people's representatives.
Even though you are not parliamentarians, you represent various shades of opinion in the region as well as the country. And since it is not possible for everybody to go to a police station to talk to the police, we see you as one of the important channels through which the public can also express their views about how policing should be done. So it is a very important thing, and we take attacks against journalists as a very serious issue.
ACP Iklu added the police will collaborate with the leaders of various media houses to come out with a framework on the safety of journalists.
We are working with the Media Foundation for West Africa to come out, and GJ and Primpark, GIBA, and the All Media Organization to come up with a framework that would lead to the safety of journalists as far as police operations are concerned. Respect our professionalism. Police must respect and identify the role of journalists in federating democracy, and journalists must also recognize the procedures and the role of the police in serving the national interest.
Ashanti Regional Chairperson of the Ghana Journalists Association, Kingsley Hope, employed the police to ensure journalists are given maximum security in the discharge of their duties.
We are journalists. All our work we're doing is that we look for stories. Looking for stories and doing stories is not a small task. Always we'll be stepping on people's toes. It is a risky job that we have kind of engaged ourselves in doing. We need the protection of the police everywhere we go.
He also advised journalists to be security conscious when covering violent assignments. Meanwhile, journalists have been advised to always disclose their identities to the police when they arrive at a violent scene.
In other news, family of the late Ibuakwa North Member of Parliament Joseph Boakye Danko are demanding justice for the death of their son. A family spokesperson George Mensah wants the trial fast-tracked to ensure the truth surrounding the death of their son is unraveled.
It was a solemn morning at the private burial place of the late MP Joseph Boakye Danko at the Old Tafo in Abuakwa North Municipality of the Eastern Region. The brief ceremony was led by Monsignor Alex Bobby Benson of the Catholic Diocese of Koforidua. It has been 3 years since the murder of the late MP. Family members of the late MP light candles and lay wreath on the grave in remembrance of the late JB. Family spokesperson George Mensah wants processes for the court to be fast-tracked.
We are still digging out who killed JB. It's worrying, really worrying. And I am pleading with the government on whose shoulders everything rests to help us unravel this mystery of JB's death. We can never understand ourselves as a family that a personality like JB should die such a death. And then 3 years going, nothing has been heard about it.
The family spokesperson also was worried about the political twist on the case.
Politics has come to play. One political order is saying it is this political order. We are not concerned about politics. All we are looking for is that the killers of JB or those who arranged for JB to be killed are taken to court, arrested and taken to court.
George Amwa urged the suspect to open up and speak the truth. The late Joseph Wachidankwa Edu was murdered in his home on February 9, 2016.
Meanwhile, widow of the late MP Ivy Heward Mills has made startling revelations about how investigations ongoing may not yield a good outcome. After comparing the investigations to that of British MP Joe Cox, whose stabbing happened around the same time, Ivy Heward Mills said Ghana is still playing Ludo and Owari, or perhaps Chacha, with the matter. 2 suspects are standing trial over the case. The key suspects pointing accusing fingers at New Patriotic Party elements for the murder.
We now continue with other news, and let's go to Abosiokai for some stories where the spare parts dealers are demanding urgent intervention to shore up the value of the cedi against the dollar. Co-chair of the Abosiokai Spare Parts Dealers Association, Clement Boateng, has warned they would have no option than to pass the increase in prices of imported spare parts to the consumer.
The cedi's woes has been influenced by the sudden demand for dollars by businesses in the country to finance their imports. The local currency, which was trading at around 4 cedis 80 pesos some 4 weeks ago, is currently trading at between 5 cedis and 5 cedis 10 pesos to a dollar. According to co-chair of the Abosiokai Spare Parts Dealers Association, Clement Boateng, government must take steps to urgently address the falling value of the cedi.
It's not helping businesses in general at all, not even the spare parts industry alone. Because as you are aware, every businessman is not a Father Christmas. And once the cedi continue to depreciate, it means at any point in time that you want to go in for dollars, you need to add more cedis before you can go in for more dollars. Currently, dollar is selling at 5 cedis 10 pesos. So if you are going for $1,000, which means you need 5,100 Ghana cedis, to go in for $1,000. And when it happens like that, you have to pass on the cost to the consumer.
He said coupled with the low sales recorded over the last 8 months, the cost of imported spare parts is increasing their losses.
We don't make sales. We don't make sales because prices of goods are high as a result of the fluctuation of the currency. So the high time the government, do something about it, the better. You are aware that even at the ports, they use the foreign exchange in calculating the duties, even though it's being converted into cedis for us to pay. And once there is a review of the exchange rates at the ports every week, once the cedi continues to fluctuate and its value falls, it affects whatever you have to pay at the ports.
The change in the prices of spare parts is not as rapid as some other goods on the market, but the spare parts dealers say they will have no option than to increase prices if the situation persists. Many are confident that the Bank of Ghana's decision to inject some $670 million would shore up the value of the cedi in the coming weeks.
And now 54 Ivorian refugees in Ghana, including former ministers of state, have returned home after 8 years in Ghana. The voluntary repatriation formed part of the stabilization and reconciliatory effort by government towards an end to the conflict in that country.
More than 450,000 people reportedly fled their homes in Ivory Coast because of the political crisis in 2011, according to the UNHCR. 116,000 cases of these refugees fled the fighting to Ghana, Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea, Liberia, Togo, Benin and Nigeria. Ampane refugee camp was then established in March 2011 for over 5,000 refugees who arrived in the country. Currently, the camp has 3,500 refugees, with only 1% being other nationals. Other Ivorian refugees have spread across Africa and other cities in Ghana over the years. The International Criminal Court early this year freed the former Ivory Coast president Laurent Gbagbo after his acquittal in January on charges of crimes against humanity. That coupled with the relative political stability in Ivory Coast prompted some refugees in Ghana to voluntarily return home. The 54 returning refugees include former ministers in the erstwhile Gbagbo administration, women and children.
With the help of the international community, political actors and the civil society, and as per the request of the people, these allies of the former president Laurent Gbagbo are returning home after 8 years in Ghana. These form part of the reconciliation efforts by the current president to bring a lasting solution to the conflict in our dear country.
What I can say is that I'm feeling glad, so happy to turn back home, like what I came and I learned here while 8 years going back.
Some shared the experience in Ghana within the 8 years and what they will do back home.
I feel very happy to return back to my country. I'm going back now to start working in my country, for the government to receive me, to start doing everything that a man can do to allow your country to go forward.
I'm going back in my own time and start again. I don't want to be forever a refugee.
I'm happy to going back. We are hoping that everything will be good there. How you hear it, how you are expecting. But what I learned here, I'm going to contribute it to develop my country.
You're watching NEWS360, and still to come tonight. Inadequate infrastructure at Mumford Community Junior High School in the Central Region. At international news, Algeria's ruling party FLN picks 81-year-old President Bouteflika as candidate for April 18 presidential election.
We have details coming up shortly. Mission is brought to you by Star Ghana with funding from Danida, UK Aid and the EU. In our first mission story, teachers and students of the Mumford Community Junior High School in the Goma West District of the Central Region study under harsh conditions. Stanley Nibler reports the situation has led to reduced enrollment.
Established close to 3 decades ago, the Mumford Junior High School has provided education to many students. It is considered a premier school due to the years and caliber of people it has produced. Former Ghana Revenue Authority boss George Blankson, Professor Ninsen, and several others received their junior high education in this very school. Although it is not the only school in the community, it continues to serve more than 80 students. The Mumford Junior High School, however, remains in a deplorable state. The structure has not received much renovation since its establishment. This has contributed to its current state.
We have 2 major schools here.
we have Com A and then Com B. This is the two major schools that take the children from the community. The community too is so big that there are a lot of children who are school-going age. But because of those challenges, it is demotivating with the teachers.
Portions of its roof have dislodged. Other portions of the aluminium shades hang loosely, whilst others have holes in them. Teachers say lessons are usually disrupted, especially when the weather becomes windy, as the hanging roofing shades produce noise. Both teachers and students have been enduring this situation for years.
When the dry season, the wind blow a lot, and then the roofing too will be making noise, and it's also disturbed during teaching and learning.
Classes are also terminated whenever there are signs of rains, thereby shortening lesson hours. Inadequate supply of furniture is another situation worth addressing. Teachers, for instance, have no chairs to sit on. They depend on pews they begged for from the area Pentecost church. Some students sit in threes on a desk that is meant for two. The community is willing to address the challenges of the school, but generating funds has not been easy.
We are trying to do our best to do it, but you know, we have a lot of challenges in this town. So, you know, and all boils down to finance. And sometimes it is very difficult to raise money from the community.
Teachers say the school's academic performance has dipped prior to the challenges facing the school.
Our academic performance is very low because when it rains for about 6 hours and teaching and learning does not go on, you can imagine the children will lose for a whole day.
The Gomwa West Municipal Assembly is yet to come to the aid of the school, despite several calls. Assemblyman for the Ipe electoral area, Stephen Akwe, said the district assembly captured the rehabilitation of the school in its 2017 composite budget, but nothing has been done 2 years on. There is no timeline as to when the rehabilitation works will start on the school.
It has been captured in the budget that they are going to renovate this building for the community. That one I can assure you fully that it has, but as at when are going to do, that's the one problem we are facing right now.
Most children at Mumford have abandoned education for fishing. If swift measures are not taken to address the school's immediate needs, more children are likely to drop out from school to join the fray. Stanley Nibley, TV3 News, Mumford, Gomwa West, Central Region.
Let's now go to the Western region, and authorities at the Bensu Senior High School in the Takwa municipality have served notice they will cut down intake in next academic year owing to infrastructural challenges. Congestion in the boarding house and commitment to finish stalled projects is the cause of great distress. Another report by Stanley Nibleu.
The Bensu Senior High School is one of 3 second-cycle institutions in the Takwa municipality. The school, located at the outskirts of Bensu, is seriously challenged, but its authorities remain focused on delivering on their mandates. Bensu Senior High School is a boarding school, but infrastructure is inadequate. This negatively impacts on the intake of the school. The school only has a dormitory to accommodate female students. School authorities then had to convert 5 classrooms into a dormitory to support male students in the school. Even with this intervention, the dormitories are congested. Senior housemaster Edward Kisiokran said additional intervention initiated has not helped much.
It is having serious challenge on our academics because the rooms are not enough and the place is congested, and as a result of that they complain of heat, so we have to put in fans, but they were not enough, and because the place was not properly closed, They were having malaria as a result of mosquito bites.
For some students, schooling here is not an option. Available infrastructure are overstretched. Construction of additional classrooms to address the deficits facing the school has stalled for 10 years. There are currently 2 stalled projects in the school. One is a 3-unit classroom block funded and supervised by the Tarkwa and Soim Municipal Assembly. The contractor and funding source for the other 7-unit classroom blocks are unknown to both the Municipal Assembly and school authorities.
If those abandoned classroom blocks are completed, I think things will be better. And it only needs a roofing. It needs roofing and plastering. Even if there's a roof on it, we can still use it as it is.
Weeds have now taken over the structures. 200 pieces of wood meant to be used at the roofing stage have been eaten by termites. A makeshift dining hall also serves the purpose of an assembly hall.
The dining hall is something that is a big worry to us, because people come and just turn around. Well, unfortunately, it is at the entrance of the school, so they come and see it and they just turn around and go after experiencing the dusty road, and then they come here wanting to bring their children here. They see that one, they just leave. So it's doing a big disservice to us.
The school is ready to cut down on intake next academic year if their challenges are not addressed.
If nothing is done, what it will mean is that we cannot admit a lot of students, and that might cause some not to have secondary education.
The school's only bus broke down 3 years ago and has not been fixed. Students do not take part in inter-school sporting activities in the municipality as there's no means of transport. The Tarkwa and Soim Municipal Education Directorate is aware of the challenges facing the Bensu Senior High School.
Some of the important things that they need, the assembly is taking care of that. I visited the school, and from my personal assessment, I would say that they need more infrastructure. What is there? Do not mail it. If you want to talk about effective teaching and learning, which will give rise to good results.
Municipal Education Director Alex Kwekudria spoke about plans by the Assembly to assist the school.
The school has been captured to benefit from the Secondary Education Improvement Program, the SIP. So we are playing that things will be better in no sooner time.
The school would need support to complete its abandoned project to ease the pressure on the school.
And Mission was brought to you by Star Ghana with funding from Danida, UK Aid and the EU. Thanks so much for watching.
And from Mission, let's go to Tema, where the regional police, with the regional office of the electricity company of Ghana, has recovered over 2.2 million cedis as revenue collected from power theft. Now, the amount collected represents 80%, whilst the remaining 20% of defaulters are yet to settle their debts.
City Company of Ghana covers the Tema Township, Ada, Nungwa, Kobo, and Prom. According to managers, last year was one of the challenging years in terms of collecting bills from defaulters of ECG. The Revenue Protection Unit of the office said 20% of defaulters are in court.
We have a lot of communities, and these communities are engaged in the illegal connections. Every now and then, even the district manager will call for assistance. And even without he calling, we also work in Afenia district, and we see a lot of illegal cases in there. So Afenia district is stopping now.
The regional office indicated that power thefts included tampering, illegal connection, non-payment of bills and bypassing of meters. According to the regional commercial manager, the team will improve service for customers. Regional Manager Engineer Joseph Forson said proactive measures have been developed to improve revenue mobilization.
Let's go to the Volta region, where drivers from various transport unions at a lorry station in Ho have threatened to embark on a demonstration over payment of tolls. According to them, the assembly has been collecting the tolls without improving on infrastructure and sanitation.
The transport unions comprise the GPRTU, Protea, cooperatives, amongst others. These unions have the mandate of regulating daily activities at the whole lorry station. The drivers lament they have never defaulted in paying daily tolls, which has now been increased from 1 cedi to 1 cedi 50 pesos. The tolls are collected at both the entry and exit points. Despite their continuous payments, the lorry station lacks toilets or bathing facilities. Filth has also engulfed the place. The irate drivers accuse the Metropolitan Assembly for exempting Metromass drivers at the station from paying tolls, a situation they described as unfair.
At the close of the day, the next morning, out.
At every lorry station, drivers pay parking tickets. But over here, once you pay for the day, if you are not able to load and leave, the following day you are asked to go out and pay again before entering. This is affecting our work.
Municipal Finance Officer Daniel Nelson Day said the introduction of double tolls is meant to curb toll evasion at the station.
And now, a group of teachers calling themselves Alliance for Teachers are accusing the Ghana Education Service of banning the use of cane as a means of disciplining school children without broader consultations with teachers. According to them, teachers are still finding it difficult to implement the new disciplinary methods introduced last month.
The Ghana Education Service banned caning in all schools last year. The service argued that corporal punishment inflicts physical pain on children, compelling teachers to use alternative forms of sanctions when they need to punish students. But the group, Alliance for Teachers, does agree to the ban.
To abolish caning in school, we know the effect it has had on some children. If you want to get it out of the system and you want to introduce it, you should be able to, first of all, sensitize teachers for some period of time, so that teachers will know that from henceforth, caning is going to be out of the system. So they are going to now make up their mind and look, we are going to brace ourselves for a new way of discipline. If there could be papers, I understand there are papers circulating out there. Guidance and counseling units of the GES have brought out some ways and means that we can discipline the children. At least as I'm sitting down here, I'm a teacher myself. I've not even received any brochure or anything.
A GES research revealed the effects of corporal punishment, including physical scar, trauma, fear, and timidity.
We have developed the Safe School Resource Pack, which has all the relevant things that we have to know about the 3 violent behaviors in our school system: corporal punishment, bullying, and sexual harassment. There's a third document. The first one is the Teacher's Handbook on Safe Schools. The second one is the training manual. And the third one is the peer-to-peer manual. The peer-to-peer manual specifically targets children, because we want the children to know that if you have taken off, you are taking the corporal punishment out of the system, it does not give you the leeway to misbehave.
The GES insists that the park will help build the needed confidence for academic work.
You're on NEWS360. And in this segment tonight, the Creative Arts and Tourism Ministry will soon mount monuments in some public places as part of activities to commemorate the Year of Return, Ghana 2019.
Declared in September 2018, Africans in the diaspora have arrived in the country to take part in the Year of Return Ghana to make the best of the opportunity The ministry announced a partnership with a Cuban artist and other stakeholders within the sector to mount cultural and historical sculptures. Aside promoting tourism, the historical sculptures will also honor individuals as well as preserve the country's customs, traditions and history.
Celebrate with monuments, filling public spaces in the city, our heroes, our unsung heroes, and our history. So that is what we are here to do.
The delegation was led by Pedro Lucy de España Gonzalez, Cuban ambassador to Ghana, with Alberta Lice Nironcillo, the sculptor, among others.
Madre del mundo.
The most important thing for me is to reflect that Africa is the mother of the world. It's the most important thing, and we have to go back to Africa to renew our spirit, to show what we feel, because we came from Africa, all of us.
Grateful to the ministry and to our guests here who have taken their time to come all the way here in search of something, in search of history, culture and art. And I'm very pleased to inform them and to encourage all of them that there's a lot of arts to experience in Ghana.
The historical sculptures will serve as history generational reference.
Definitely, would be great to have that one. That's it for this edition of News 360 from the News Hub here in Accra. I am Isa Moni.
And I am Portia Gabo. Up next is Music with.
And our special guest is Papi Kojo on Music. Enjoy the rest of the show.